Let's round out this lesson with a little laptop security. And we're talking more the physical security of the laptop. We'll get more into security as we get into the 220-902 course. That's a separate course altogether. So because of the threat of theft, you should really consider physical security methods for your laptop. It costs you a lot of money. It might have very important data or pictures or music that's important to you as well. So you want to be real careful with that. And some examples, you can use physical locks or cable locks. If you're worried about your laptop being stolen, consider physical security, an actual locking cable for your laptop, similar to a locking cable for a bicycle. You can use these on just about any laptop, and there's upgrades that you can get for these laptops from all different manufacturers. So consider security cable locks for your laptop. The thing is, a lot of laptops are stolen when a person just walks away for a minute and they're gone. So you can use a physical lock, and I'll show an example here. Here's an example of a Toshiba lock, and this connects to the special little connector on the laptop, which I'll show in a second if you have one. And basically it has a 4-digit PIN code that you can select here. But there's 10,000 combinations, so it's going to be hard for somebody to figure this out. And this button releases this, but only if the right code is on there. So you set your code, connect it, lock it, and then change the code. Move those rollers, and this way nobody's going to be able to get into that. But the only way for this to work is if it's cabled properly. You could loop this to something, but really the proper way to use this, it's kind of like a giant lanyard. The proper way to use this is to run this around the leg of a desk or around something that's immobile, and then loop this through here, and then connect this to the laptop security port. So that's the proper way to do that, because nobody's going to be able to cut through these. You're not going to be able to use a cutter basically to get through this. And if this is just looped over something, it's easy to remove it. You want to loop it in twice basically, if possible, or around something that doesn't move, and always run this through the eyelet here before you connect this to the laptop. Run this around the leg of a desk once or twice, then run this through that, then connect that to the laptop. The way that most people get these is they'll smash them with a hammer right here. And that may or may not work. This is a pretty good device for that. Let's show the connection on the laptop real quick. So here's the port on the laptop. This is a real close-up of this. This is just a basic little connector, and there's really not much to it. You connect the cable lock right into here, and it'll click right into place. Again, only after you've run the cable and tethered the lock through the eyelet. But you'll see a connector like this, usually on the corner towards the back of the laptop, and you'll see a little icon here. It's the locking security icon, so you'll know what that is. And Toshiba uses, you want to go with the manufacturer. Toshiba uses their own type of cable. Other manufacturers like HP and so on, they'll have their own cable for that. So make sure you run that cable lock. That's a great way of securing that laptop. So another possibility is a locking case or a bag. You don't want to get a real expensive looking bag also for your laptop. Keep it simple, but you could use something that locks, so that way it'd be harder to get open. But really, it's the look of the bag that's going to help you with that. And going beyond this, consider the following safeguards. USB biometric devices. These, when you install them, they need your fingerprint in order to allow access to the system. So this is a real nice feature, and here's an example of one. Here's a fingerprint reader, connects via USB. And if we look at the tech specs on that, you can do 2.0 ports. You don't even need a 3.0 port with this. And one of the things you want to check is the type of sensor. This is a decent sensor, and also the resolution that's being used. You want the resolution to be decent, a pretty high level, around 500-600 dpi. Otherwise, it could be faked pretty easily. Now, one of the problems with these is if someone steals the whole package, your fingerprint is probably on the laptop itself somewhere. either on the touchpad or just on the laptop's plastic, and a person could lift that pretty easily. So you can go even farther beyond this. First of all, you can get into BIOS security, your UEFI or your BIOS, and some laptops offer chassis intrusion protection, and all UEFI and BIOS programs have password security. So set an admin password on the BIOS, and for protection for your data, set a power on password or a user password. This way, someone can't even get into the Windows. They got to get past the BIOS password first. And that's if they can get past your USB biometric device and your physical lock and blah, blah. Also, a lot of computers, especially laptops, are coming with LoJack. You can have LoJack running on within your UEFI BIOS. So if someone steals it and you've paid for the service, you can locate that guy. You could also have GPS running on the laptop. And moving beyond that into Windows, you may want to encrypt your data. You might want to use EFS in Windows to encrypt the data. You can encrypt individual files. For example, if you have passwords in a file or taxes or, any personal identifying information, PII, encrypt those, right click them, encrypt them, and that'll show the file name in green. Or if you have one of the more advanced editions of Windows, you can do full disk encryption, and you could do that with BitLocker. And you want to make sure there's a TPM, a trusted platform module chip, on the computer, or use a USB device that has the proper key. Windows passwords, make sure you have a strong, complex password on the device. And you may want to look into remote wipe programs. And as I mentioned before, GPS, so you could track the device. And if it is stolen, you could initiate a remote wipe from your PC or from another system, just to wipe out the whole laptop so that the person cannot get your data, or most likely cannot get the data. So a lot of safeguards there. But really, you don't want to lose the laptop. So you want to think about basic physical security precautions. Never leave your laptop sitting around. Always lock the door to your office. Very often, laptops are stolen in the office, and quite often for people that you work with. Can you believe that? It happens. It's true. Or someone who is, doing social engineering and acting as a particular service person, but is actually there to grab laptops. So always lock up your laptop, lock your door, use the cable lock, use passwords in Windows, and then have your screensaver set to require the password if you're doing it that way, or if the screen is set to turn off, make sure it sets to lock. You want the system to lock if the display turns off, so that the password is required. The best thing to do whenever you leave your system, hit the Windows and L key. Just Windows L, Windows L. Keep thinking that way and press that right when you leave, so that it automatically goes to the locked mode, and you have to put your password in there. There's various policies and programs out there, stop programs that companies have. If a company uses a mobile device management system, they might be able to just stop all access to your laptop remotely. Your administrator might be able to do that. So make sure your computer's running that, or check with your organization to see if it actually has that policy for those types of programs. If you bring your laptop in the car, always put it in the trunk. Make sure it's covered. Make sure the bag is covered. Use a basic bag. Stow your laptop in just a very basic looking bag. You might even use a backpack. They make backpacks that can store laptops with nice cushioning, but doesn't even really look like a laptop bag. Or it's a dual feature bag where it's a backpack and you can put clothes in there or whatever, and your laptop. So look into that type of thing as well. And also it should lock, but a lock that is not conspicuous. You want it to be inconspicuous. You don't want people to be like, oh, wow, look at that amazing lock on that bag. But lock the bag and try to think about all this basic physical security precaution, because you definitely don't want to lose that laptop. So there's a little bit about laptop security, and that rounds out the lesson. And I'll see you at the next lesson.